Hello, thanks for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Aguela. Disability is a global challenge, and Nigeria is also faced with the challenge of addressing the needs of persons with disabilities. The advocacy has been to promote ability in disability, to ensure persons with disabilities have a decent life. Although there is no clear estimate of the number of persons with disabilities in the country, however, data from the 2018 Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey revealed that an estimated 7% of household members above the age of 5 experience some level of difficulty in at least one functional domain, either sight problem, hearing, communication, cognition, walking, or self-care, which increases the burden, of course. Now, persons with disabilities persistently face stigma, discrimination, and barriers to accessing basic social services and economic opportunities. But one significant step came in. That was in January 2019, with the ratification of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018, which is supposed to herald a new era for the prioritization of disability rights across the country. Now, the Act makes provision for the full inclusion of persons with disabilities, including the need for quality and inclusive education, and 5% employment quota for persons with disabilities in all public organizations. Although implementation is yet to effectively materialize, in addition, some states in the Federation have enacted the disability laws to safeguard the rights of persons with disabilities in varying degrees of implementation. However, the federal government have taken some steps to address the needs of persons with disabilities with the establishment of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. Now, the International Day for Persons with Disabilities will be celebrated on the 3rd of December, which seeks to promote the importance of inclusion in life and the workplace. And this year's theme says United in Action to Rescue and Achieve the SDGs for, with, and by persons with disabilities. On platform today, we want to look at efforts made so far in promoting inclusion for persons with disabilities, and our guest is Mr. James David Lalu. He's Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. Thank you so much, Mr. Lalu, for joining us on platform.
Hello, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and we'll just take you through a bit of his profile. Mr. James David Lalu holds a national certificate in education and a Bachelor of Education. Lalu has master's degree in guidance and counseling education and is currently a student of Doctor of Philosophy degree. Mr. Lalu's career started in 2007 when he served as a Senior Special Assistant on Disability Affairs to the Governor of Plateau State. He was also appointed Executive Member, Plateau State Disability Rights Commission. In 2017, he was appointed Executive Chairman, Plateau State Disability Rights Commission by the Governor then, that's Simon Bakola Long. In 2020, Lalu was appointed Member representing persons with disability in All Progressives Congress National Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee. Former President Muhammadu Buhari appointed Lalu as the pioneer executive secretary of the commission that's for persons with disability. That was in 2020. In 2010, Lalu was elected into the membership of the executive committee of the CBR African Network until 2015. He has also served as the pioneer president of the CBR Global Network. Lalu has contributed immensely in promoting the rights and dignity of persons with disabilities. He also participated in other advocacy programs within the African continent, which sought the protection of persons with disabilities. Very impressive profile, Mr. Lalu.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And our correspondent on the panel today, talking about Gufan Shaji Ngwanyi. Thank you so much, Gufan. And this is your first time on platform.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to have you here.
Same here.
All right. And our sign language interpreter is Mr. Timothy Tinat. Thank you so much, Mr. Timothy. How do I say thank you? Thank you. All right. So I'm going to learn sign language before the end of this program. So, Mr. Lalu, There's a whole lot, when we look at the commission and we look at the plight of persons with disabilities. And for the first time, we saw a bold step by the federal government to set up a commission, to look at the needs of persons with disabilities. And you have been at the helm of affairs. So please tell us, how has it been, pushing forward and pushing hard for persons with disabilities, for that advocacy for their rights to be protected?
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
The right step has already been taken by the federal government of Nigeria in response to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And you are aware that the Nigerian government, with the establishment of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, we have been given the ball, and where the ball is now in our court from the disability community to make sure that we use the opportunity to make the necessary impact to the disability community. Actually, after the establishment of the commission, when we take off, it has not been easy bringing up a new institution fresh from the ground and building the institution, as well as building the confidence of the people, promoting the disability rights and disability inclusion in government cycle. Dealing with federal government is a mighty engine that you have to work together with different institutions to advocate for disability inclusion in their programs and projects. You may be aware that there is already an approval on ground by the President for 10% disability inclusion in all government programs and projects. And when you look around, Section 29 of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities also provided 5% employment opportunity for persons with disabilities. Driving this alone has not been easy. We have seen different federal government agencies have been able to comply with this a lot, are not even willing to comply with the provisions of this law. We have been trying our best to see what we can be able to do. When you look at some of the agencies, most especially the NYSC, NYSC as a body, I can commend this organization excellently for complying with the provisions of the relevant section of the disability law. Today, when you go to NYSC camp, you see the priority attention they are giving to persons with disabilities in NYSC camp.
Wow.
There is an employment, I think for the past two chances they have to do employment, they write directly to us requesting for the 5% for persons with disabilities, which will mobilize persons with disabilities and provide it to them. Today, persons with disabilities are working in a YSC and they are in the camps taking care of our own people who come as graduates into the NYSC camp. This is excellent. And today, when you go to the NYSC headquarters, you see they did a ramp entering the place. They are trying to make the headquarters to be accessible for persons with disabilities. One additional color they added was to put a red carpet on that ramp. So they are doing a red carpet reception for persons with disabilities. Where citizens have all the recommendations we can give them for complying with the provisions of the law. The Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation are doing their best. But I can tell you that a lot of government agencies are not even willing to comply. We are doing our best to try to see how we can be able to put them to comply. We have already the National Assembly, as you see, the commitment of the National Assembly to disability rights led to the former Speaker, who is now the Chief of Staff to the President, have spearheaded a lot of innovation for the disability community in the National Assembly by establishing House Committee, Standing Committee on Disability. I am happy that the present Speaker has also sustained that. Providing this, it brings a lot of people, members of the National Assembly, House of Representatives, into that committee. That today they are doing their best. We just left a meeting now, organizing a retreat for these members of the House Committee on Disability to make sure that we push for this. They are reviewing a lot of laws. They are reviewing some bills, and they are calling for public hearing to challenge most of these agencies who are rejecting to comply with the provisions of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act. So on this day, today, as we are now about to celebrate the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, one thing we will continue to tell the people is that compliance with the provision of the law is have no excuse. It is something that we are supposed to do it wholeheartedly. If you see a compassionate person, somebody who have a sense of reasoning, have no reason to reject inclusion of persons with disabilities. We are part of humanity as well. And when you look around, the global community today are looking forward towards promoting disability rights and disability inclusion.
Okay. Gufan?
Okay, so speaking on this development, since the 2018 Disability Act has been passed, a lot has happened. Government has supported that, and with President Tinubu's Hope initiative, a lot has happened. Recently, we had the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs come and give empowerment packs, and a lot of stuff has been done to empower persons with disabilities. Is that a one-off thing, or we're going to have most of these empowerment programs continue? And how far is this going to go to cut across, all the states?
Thank you so very much. When you talk about the Renew Hope administration, the Renew Hope administration is really renewing the hope of persons with disabilities. But in the campaign, when the president sat down with the disability community, he made a promise. And the promise is that he is going to carry the disability community along in his administration. Immediately after assuming office today, we can count some of the achievements of the president directly from the presidential office about disability rights. He has already appointed a senior special assistant on disability. We also have a minister who has disability. The Minister for Police Affairs today is an amputee who is part of the disability community. So when you see at this, secondly, just recently, the president signed the ratification instrument for the African Protocol on Disability Rights. This is to show to the international community that yes, Nigeria is committed to disability rights. When you look around today, we from Nigeria were supposed to provide leadership to our brothers and sisters in other African countries. The signing of this ratification instrument is now making us to talk to our brothers and sisters with all the boldness we deserve. So when you look around this, there are a lot of things. Recently, the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs is also sustaining that 10% inclusion of persons with disabilities. The National Social Investment Program today is providing a greater opportunity for the disability community. That 15 million households that are supposed to benefit from the conditional cash transfer, that 10% is already well reserved for persons with disabilities, and that is 1.5 million persons with disabilities across the country. So strategies are now being put on ground to make sure that it is well spread across all the communities in Nigeria to mobilize for beneficiaries with disabilities who are supposed to benefit from this program. Just recently, empowerment programs have been launched. POS machines have been distributed, as well as scholarship for persons with disabilities has also been provided. There are a lot of things that are already on ground to see that yes, the commitment of the Renew Hope administration to the disability community is being kept on and being sustained. The president is already somebody who is already positively disposed to disability issues, and therefore the disability community have a higher expectation in this administration.
Okay.
We are going to bail up to make sure that we meet up with this higher expectation for more opportunity for the disability community.
So from what you're saying now, Mr. Lalu, it's highly commendable with the pace the present administration is going in terms of including persons with disabilities. But let's look at issues that concerns disability inclusion in terms of mainstreaming, investment opportunities. You can't empower disability the community without the right investments. Going by what has happened in the past, the constraint of funding can be, tasking. So are you, working together with the private sector to ensure that empowering these persons with disabilities, promoting investment opportunities for them is sustained and achieved?
I mean, to ensure that the private sector are also brought on board. We have formed a forum between the Commission and the private sectors. We had several meetings in our community with them in Lagos. We are also sustaining that relationship with the private sector. As I can tell you today, a lot of the private sectors have already developed confidence in providing job opportunities for persons with disabilities. The MTN are doing well, Access Bank are doing well, First Bank are doing well, and some of them, we have these PZ are also doing well. Cadbury in Nigeria are also getting committed to providing these opportunities for persons with disabilities. So most of them continue to ask from us, from our data bank. We provide qualified persons with disabilities. You know that the private sector, when they are doing employment, they want to rely on competency of the people.
Yes.
And therefore, we assure them that the disability community remain committed in that area. So the persons with disabilities, as you see, we have a lot of competent, well-skilled persons with disabilities in our community. So we provide this list to them, and most of them that have been employed by this private sector, what the Commission do is that we try to find out the needs of these persons with disabilities that are employed by the private sector. The assistive devices they so need, they will assist them in their place of work. We procure these assistive devices and give them. On the 6th of December, there are a lot of them from part of this organization that will be coming to Abuja to receive part of their assistive devices that we are going to provide to them. They need some high technology assistive devices that we are procuring them and providing to them. So part of our incentive to this private sector is that once they provide the employment opportunity to the disability community, we try to make sure that we cooperate with them to provide the necessary assistive technology that person with disability needs. That is part of our Access to Work scheme program of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. So in so doing, we are also encouraging those in the public sector, whoever you employ as a person with disability, and that once you need these assistive devices, write to the Commission, ask the Commission, we are going to procure the assistive devices, package it, and provide it to them so that they will show their capacity in their working place, show their ability in disability, and try to do everything possible. And you see that with persons with disabilities that are employed, they do excellently well in their areas. We have some that are working with Facebook today, they are in a higher managerial level.
That's
And
impressive.
then they are getting grounds, promoting and getting promotion and going. So if there is no competency, they cannot be promoted that way. So while you look at this here, this is to show you that yes, the disability community in Nigeria are well skilled, having the necessary competencies. We are doing everything possible to stimulate and encourage them to go to school so that a lot will be there, so that in the nearest future, you can see some general managers, managing directors, chief executive officers in the private sectors who are supposed to be persons with disabilities.
Okay, I want to, ask the follow-up to that, because based on what you're sharing, Mr. Lalu, you're making it look so easy for all persons with disabilities. Now, from my understanding, the Commission is providing these assistive devices, but there are still a lot of persons with disabilities who are, lacking these assistive devices for them to, to help aid mobility and access to other technologies. So there are constraints based on findings. You want to tell us those constraints?
Thank you so very much. Sincerely speaking, when you look around, we cannot say that we are able to provide 100% needs of everybody.
Yes.
The population of over 35.5 million as an estimate today in Nigeria is not an easy thing. It is when you look at these assistive devices, over 95% of these assistive devices are imported.
Yeah.
That simply means that they are expensive.
Yes.
And once they are expensive, the little financial capacity we have to manage it. So in our managing it, we try to look for those in the workplaces. We may not be able to reach out to everybody, but we try as much as possible to provide to provide to those who need. When you look at the assistive technology they will need in the workplace are highly technical assistive devices.
Yes.
And
yes.
so looking at the high technical assistive devices, it is also expensive. And therefore, everything, we have the challenge, yes. The challenge of funding, yes, is there. But we must do everything possible to manage a little at hand while we continue to push and advocate for more increased funding opportunity for the institution.
Okay.
Okay, sir, that's really commendable. Let's go to the grassroots, because some of those things you find out that they are the persons with disabilities in Abuja that are seemingly benefiting from this. Recently, the Commission actually translated the Disability Act into 3 languages, a step to reach those at the grassroots. We also have the Yangoji, commissioning for, toilets to reach them there. But beyond the Federal Capital Territory, what is getting down to people outside of Abuja? And then you can also carry along the issue of housing with this question.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. When you look around this, yes, persons with disabilities, 80% live in the rural communities.
Yes.
So essentially, we launched the translated version of the disability law into the 3 major languages, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. Our commitment is that we want the disability community to truly go through it so that our people should know their rights as well. And now and then, we want the community also to know that the rights of persons with disabilities are properly protected by the provisions of the law. Our partnership with the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense and the Nigeria Police is truly working miracle, because these people at the rural areas, we have provided some training to the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense officers. They are really doing well at the rural communities. They are really advocating and protecting the rights of persons with disabilities. We have an application in your Android phone. When you go through the application, a lot of persons with disabilities have been able to use the application to report cases of discrimination. And the headquarters, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense headquarters, our desk officers are already in our office. Our data center is already there. When you to go into that app, you report cases. Once you click submit, it appears in our data center here. We see it in our screen here. And then these people work on it to get in touch with the people in the rural areas. These officers there will always go and try to see how they can be able to address the challenges. So our commitment in this area remain committed to ensure that persons with disabilities are fully aware of their rights and how we can work together to protect their rights and dignity as individuals with disabilities in the rural communities. So when you look around this, we will always commit ourselves to see what we can be able to do in the area of housing, as you rightly say. Yes, there are challenges, and the construction industry in totality, there are challenges. What we observe is that this issue of accessibility is a growing challenge everywhere.
Yes.
And therefore, for the past 2 years, we have worked together with all the relevant stakeholders from the construction industry to be able to develop the National Accessibility Minimum Standard. The National Accessibility Minimum Standard today have been converted into a regulation, and the regulation is expected to be launched on the 6th of December. That is just next week. So the launching of this regulation, immediately after the launching of this regulation, it is expected to have, with the provision of the law says that 5 years is given for everybody to correct the accessibility challenges they have in every building.
Okay.
Now by 16th of January 2024, that 5 year is ending. The accessibility regulation is on ground, and the accessibility regulation is expected to guide compliance to the provision of accessibility for each and everybody. We have a meeting with the TED Fund. We have a meeting with Universal Basic Education Commission to make sure that we provide this accessibility in our tertiary institutions based on the provisions of this guideline, this regulation. We have to do it in our primary and secondary schools so that we have true access to quality education for persons with disabilities in Nigeria.
Okay.
So our commitment to this, the accessibility regulation is already there. So compliance and proper enforcement is supposed to start on the 16th of January 2024. The Commission and the relevant security agencies, we have already started meeting. So the enforcement team will always work and work and work. We are now strategizing on how we can be able to approach these challenges. We are going to start with the FCT.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
is
go
there
ahead.
a penalty for defaulters who have not complied with
Yes.
this regulations?
Yes. There are punishments. Number one, buildings can be sealed based on the provisions of this regulation. Buildings can be sealed. We can seal the building, and when we seal the building, there are fines you have to pay. But on the onset, once we go, we approach, once we identify the accessibility challenges, we give you 21 days notice. The 21 days notice says you are expected to use this opportunity to correct these accessibility challenges. Anybody who have a public building that is being used by a minimum of 10 people per day, we expect them to write to the Commission. The Commission will send our technical officers. We have our engineers, quantity surveyors, architects, and others that we have already trained them. They will come and assess your building, provide the necessary advice for you, provide the necessary technical advice on how you can use the advice to fit your building to be properly accessible for persons with disabilities. So the punishment are also there aligned to it. As the enforcement starts, the punishment is also going together, so that once if you don't do it, when you scratch your pocket, then you will understand that the persons with disabilities have the right and dignity in the
Yes.
Federal Republic of Nigeria based on the provisions of the law.
I like the fact that you talked about this housing issue. There was a lady who is on a wheelchair, and she shared a story with me just a few days back of how she's going through accommodation problem up till date because of the buildings are not accessible. She's just squatting, and it's a really terrible situation. It's good you mentioned that, there are actions to be taken soon. Now, let's talk about education. I know you've also had your experience in the past growing up. I've had you share that story before. You may want to share it. Education, there are a lot of children who are on the disadvantage angle. Due to, we don't have enough schools that tend to these special needs. And if they want to fit into secondary or tertiary institutions, we have some tertiary institutions who are complying, but it's still not adequate for persons with disabilities who want to get an education.
Thank you so very much. When you look around, my experience in the educational sector has not been pleasant somehow. When I got admission to the University of Jos, let me be very, very straight. When I got admission to the University of Jos, I was offered admission to come and read economics BSc. So on my coming, when we come for screening, they were talking to me as Mr. Kifchi. I told them, I said, I cannot hear. Please, can you help me, right? You cannot hear. You cannot hear. Go. Who will give you admission to come and read economics? Go, you cannot read here. Supposed to go to special education, go to special education. I say, oh my God. I told them, I say, just because I cannot read does not mean that I must be forced to read any course that they just like. I have to struggle within the university system. I have to lobby all along. But because I do not have stronger people as at that time, my course have to be changed compulsorily, and so I have to live within the economics. So these are some of the experience a lot of persons with disabilities continue to face. I have met with different vice chancellors to the Nigerian universities. A lot of them have already started changing their internal policy documents. The University of Jos vice chancellor is doing nice. The university vice chancellor of the university in Lafia is a very, very nice person. The vice chancellor of the Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Auka, the Utumat Namfoto University in Sokoto, most of these universities are doing their very best to try to adopt and provide opportunities for persons with disabilities in their institutions. Some of them have already provided the 5% employment opportunities for persons with disabilities in their respective institutions. So when you look around this, we are trying everything possible within our ability to address the challenges of persons with disabilities in these our tertiary institutions, in the secondary school, and primary school as well. We are working closely with the Universal Basic Education Commission The executive secretary is a very nice person. So all of these are going down to the 36th state of the federation. We are soon going to have the National Summit on Education next year.
Okay.
This will bring all of these stakeholders together to the table.
Okay.
We will review all of these challenges. Some of the reported cases we continue to receive. We are going to table them to all of them, naming each and every institution one by one.
Okay.
I am happy that the present Minister for Education is a very, very friendly person to the disability community, and we are going to take up this matter together with him to make sure that we achieve access to education for persons with disabilities in Nigeria.
Okay. All right. We have to take this break. We're back in a jiffy. Please don't go anywhere.
What are we doing as a nation to, first of all, settle our teeming populace, especially the
NTA's political package with a third eye on the nation's political scene? I am Fisa Ogunfuyi. Welcome.
You have to be very careful giving space to people who are obviously sponsored to further the agenda of some other groups.
We have a lot of questions. A lot of questions in a closed door sessions. Some of these issues, some of the problems bedeviling of their.
In fact, between June 1st and July 17, 19-point-something billion has left the coffers of the NDDC.
I can say my constituency, they need everything because we don't have anything.
All right, thanks for being there. The conversation is still on promoting inclusion for persons with disabilities, and we have the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, Mr. David Lalu. Mr. Lalu, I like the fact you mentioned that there will be a stakeholders summit coming up next year, God willing, on education, because it's a very important issue. Let's also look at policies that have been in place. Would you say, from your observation, that they have been effectively implemented? Because it's one thing to have these documents, the laws that you talked about. What other strategy are you devising to ensure that the policies that affect the welfare of persons with disabilities is well implemented?
Presently, our commission has been fully involved into the Ministry for Education strategy in education. They are now drafting their own strategy plan for education, and so the commission is fully part of the strategy development team to make sure that access to education for persons with disabilities is fully incorporated in it. There are a lot of policy by the JAM office, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, to ensure admission for persons with disabilities. When you see that now writing the exams for JAM now has been made simplified and made easy for the disability community so that they can get admission into our tertiary institutions. So when you look around some of this effort today, really we are coming up. There are more opportunities in the educational sector. The National Summit on Education that we are planning that will come up next year is for us to be able to review a lot of these challenges. Efforts have already been put in place, but we are not sure that whether the effort have been able to achieve 100% of our expectation. The summit will bring out all of these gaps. We can identify all of these gaps, then review most of these policies again, and see how we can be able to strategize going forward to provide more opportunities for persons with disabilities. The National Student Loan Bill, the National Student Loan Law that has already been passed, there are opportunities as well for the disability community to be able to access this loan. It is providing equal opportunities for each and everyone, but we are still on the table again. The disability community have raised some concern requesting for a reduction or a total quota for the loan for the disability community so that we can be able to have access to it. By every standard, a minimum of 50% is supposed to be removed for persons with disabilities, but we are still on the table again. We will keep pushing. We will keep pushing to ensure that access to financing for education for the disability community is made available on an equal basis with others, so that persons with disability will also go to school. People, when they go to the university today, they are coming up very, very brilliant. I have some of them that came to meet me with their first class degrees.
Wow.
Some of them second class or part degrees in very, very sensitive courses. So that shows that once opportunities are provided to our people, they can do wonders. Just like you see how people going for sports, international competition, bringing gold medal to their country. This is a part of our contribution from the disability community. So when you look around there, sometimes a whole Olympic like this, the able body will go for this Olympic. They cannot even bring aluminium. So, but when they cannot bring aluminium, the disability community will go there, they bring gold, they bring silver. This is to show you that we are truly contributing to the progress of Nigeria as a country. Indeed. So our contribution can never be overlooked. We must do the best we can be able to do. Integration of disability in every sector is our collective responsibility. Disability inclusion is everybody's business, and therefore everybody must see the need. That is when I met somebody just recently, when I was advocating for disability inclusion to him, what the response he told me is that everybody who advocates, everybody who provides opportunity for persons with disabilities is doing that to himself invariably one way or the other. So when you look around this, nobody is immune when it comes to disability.
Yes.
You can have disability tomorrow, there is it. Today, what you are seeing, you see like you are doing a charity work, you see that you are helping some people, but you never know the structure you are living, the plan you are living. You may come back later to benefit from the same thing. I was not born like this until when I was around 20 years or 21 years at the College of Education that I became deaf. So at the moment when I was born, growing up, I never knew that there are even disability community in Nigeria. I never knew. I was just focused about my life. But when God transited me to that world, it was where I started finding out the truth about life. And so when I came here, when I lost my hearing ability in the hospital, life has not been easy. Just to accept that condition, it took me about 4 years. 4 years. It took me about 1 year, almost crying on daily basis.
Wow.
It was my mother that became my friend, my closer friend. All of my friends that I know in the community has run away. They say they cannot be able to communicate to me. The psychological trauma has not been easy, but all along, these are the experience of a lot of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. How can we imagine that today you are running your business, you are making a living comfortably, just you enter car now, you go somewhere, you have accident, you lose the use of your limbs totally, you go back and sit down permanently on the wheelchair. How will you feel? It has not been easy. So when you see persons with disabilities in that condition, they must have passed through a lot of traumatic situations. I have experienced that. So when you look around this, we are part of the human diversity. All that we need is not pity. When you see a person with disability, you start to pity him. We don't deserve any pity. All we need is that love and understanding. Give us the opportunity, we can do the best we can be able to do. But once you start pitying us, once you pity, the next thing that comes to my mind is how you can get 2,000 naira, 1,000 naira into your pocket and begin to give people. I went to somewhere for a meeting. All of the people around there, they don't know me. They don't know me. So in that place, when we come, one man came in. So when he saw me, they say, I am not hearing. The next thing they came, he just put hand in his pocket and removed 10,000 naira. They wanted to give me 10,000 naira. So when I look like this, I say, my interpreter wanted to tell him who I am. I told him, Chikwa, don't tell him who I am. So I have to take that opportunity to try to educate him very well.
Yes.
Tell him that it is not like that. Not every deaf is poor. Yeah. Not every deaf you see deserves that pity. Not every deaf you see that deserves that hangout. So when you see a person with disability or in a wheelchair, you may not know that you are dealing with a multimillionaire there. Yes. Can you imagine? We have persons with disabilities today on wheelchairs that have factories. They employ a lot of people who are working with them. So when you see them like that in the wheelchair like this, it doesn't mean that they just deserve what you can give them, but a better understanding. See him as a brother, see him as part of human race, and see him as somebody who deserves all the necessary attention. Thank you.
Okay. Kufan, please go ahead.
Okay, in a few days we'll be celebrating the International Day. What are we expecting?
International Day for Persons with Disabilities, we are planning on the 6th of December. It's an assembly of Nigeria. We are bringing the who is who in Nigeria to come to that place to have a direct interaction, interface with the disability community. Different ambassadors have been calling to confirm their interest to participate in this program. Our intention is to create the necessary awareness to each and everyone that disability is part of the human race. When you look at the theme for this year, it's all about sustainable development goals.
Yes.
Our issue is to rescue the sustainable development goals. Then when you see that the MDG before does not have disability in it, for the sustainable development goal have a lot of components about persons with disabilities and disability inclusion. I am happy that I was part of the team that contributed at the United Nations when I was the president of the Community-Based Rehabilitation Global Network. We contributed and fought for the inclusion of disability in the Sustainable Development Goals when that agenda was being drafted. Today we have it at the table. We have to work towards achieving that. There are a lot of gaps today in the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal when it comes to disability rights and disability inclusion. But the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities is doing its own best with the little resources at hand to make sure that we achieve a lot within the spaces provided in the Sustainable Development Goal. But it is something that we are going to identify most of the gaps on the 6th of December and open more discussion so that the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals is also everybody's business. We must bring our hands together on the table, together to work together, identify the gap and work towards achieving that. For a better society, for each and every citizen. Our target at the end is to make Nigeria an inclusive state where each and every person with disability will be comfortable, including the older generation, because it is said that once you pass 60 years and above, you are a person with disability, whether you accept or you don't accept, because there are some gaps in you that you may not be able to live a youthful life again. You may not be able to run. You may not be able to do a lot of things. As you grow older, you keep joining us. So when you look around this, our population in Nigeria today is not a mere thing. Politicians today respect persons with disabilities because of our weight politically to contribute on who becomes the leader of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or whatever constituency we have. Thank you.
And I'm sure, Mr. Lalu, I want to talk about the sign language, which I know you're actually advocating for. But aside the sign language, to help the deaf community, there are other disability that, is peculiar to each person that is living with that disability. In terms of provision of accessibility, sign language is one of it that will help, communication among persons, even they're not, experiencing any form of disability. And I know you're really pushing hard for that. What about other aspects of disability?
We've been doing our best when it comes to meeting the needs of different persons with disabilities. There are individual differences even in the disability community, and the individual needs for each and every person with disabilities are part of what we are going to do. When you look around the issue of the sign language, when we came on board, one thing that we realized is that the sign language we see signing like this, they are using the American Borough sign language. There are a lot of words and other things within our localities. So the sign language we see we are doing today, American Borough sign language have not been localized today in Nigeria. So when we came on board, what we did was to identify the gaps. Because the English sign language sign only English words and does not recognize some of our things at home. So when we look at this, our culture, our tradition need to be properly incorporated into the sign language. So when you bring a deaf from the far north, and you bring a deaf from the southeast and you bring a deaf from the southwest, where you bring them together like this, they may not even understand themselves. This was the problem we had. So we had to go through the process after 2 years, bringing all of these experts. After 2 years, we have been able to develop the Nigerian Sign Language Dictionary. The Nigerian Sign Language Dictionary has already been developed. At the moment, a national policy on sign language has already been developed as well. It has already been forwarded to the Federal Executive Council. We are hoping and praying for the approval of the Federal Executive Council. Once that policy is out, implementation will start immediately. It is supposed to be integrated in our school curriculum as provided by the law from primary to secondary to tertiary institutions.
Yes.
So that once our children in school, now I am deaf, my children go to school. When they go to school, if sign language is part of the language in the school,
They will
learn
learn,
it
yes.
and come and tell me what they need. The lollipop and other things they need, they have to sign for me so that me, I will become a proud father and I will bring out that money. So these are the things that we are doing at the moment to make sure that we achieve a comprehensive approach to sign language. We have already started as pilot project a sign language degree at the Federal University in Lafia. This degree is fully funded from the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. We have brought experts. They came to Santa here, developed the curriculum, and we get the Nigerian University Commission, which approved the curriculum. The degree program have started. Admission have already been taken. We are now monitoring the progress from the institution. We are going to have a meeting with the university to review the challenges before we can be able to expand them to other universities so that the degree program will go and spread.
What about for the blind, and other aspect of disability? What has been provided?
Yes. For the blind, specifically for the blind, truly, the availability of Braille documents are very, very essential. As I say, on 6th December, we are going to share some equipment. It includes some equipment for the blind as well. We have what we call an OPIT machine. It is a small machine like this, but you can store up to 3,000 books in that machine.
Wow.
And you can read it through the Braille. You will feel it and read all of this. We are going to share the documents here. Additionally, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, we have established a mini Braille printing press in the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities in our office here. We have already expanded this year again, and now we are calling on all federal government, state, all other agencies. When you are doing a program that have to do, you have to invite blind community, please come to us. We are going to print this document for you for free. There are a lot of policies by NAPTIP. They have approached us and we have printed this document, these policies, about 4 or 5 policies, different policy documents. We have printed them in Braille for them totally for free. All other government offices, ministries that have different policies, please bring it to the National Commission of Persons with Disabilities. We are going to print this in Braille for free and provide it to you so that you can distribute to the blind community as well. Just recently, we thank God that we received approval. We have employed Braille experts into that place. About 6 of them, they are working day in, day out to make sure that they provide accessible documents for the blind community within our vicinity here, while we look forward to expanding this to the 6 geopolitical zones to meet up with the demands and needs of our students with disabilities in the tertiary institutions.
Okay. Gufan, you have a final question? We're rounding off.
No, I think that we have done justice to this.
Mr. Lalu, we're rounding off gradually, very soon actually. And now, I want you to share with us the vision for the community of persons with disability. Now, not just the vision for the commission, because I know you have a very strong vision when you started as the pioneer executive secretary. But what vision are you seeing, for the disability community? There's a whole lot, there are gaps which you're doing so well, advocating, especially political appointments, because when you have persons with disabilities in governance, of course, they'll create more room, for action to be taken. So what's the vision you're seeing?
Yes. The vision for the disability community is an inclusive society. A society that belongs to everybody. What we are looking forward is a Nigeria where persons with disability will have their dignity respected, their rights properly respected, and opportunities are provided for us to be able to contribute in the development of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As I was saying earlier, while part of our commitment is to attract, we are also attracting the foreign direct investment. At the moment, there are wheelchair manufacturers and also assistive devices manufacturers that have indicated interest to come and put their factories in Nigeria. They have already picked Abuja as part of their interest, and we are now working with the FCT to provide land for these people so that once they come here, our commitment is to see how we can be able to promote local manufacturing of these assistive devices here to reduce costs, to reduce other things, to make them available for the disability community. So our dream as a community in Nigeria is to see that every laws, every environment, everywhere are accessible for the disability community, and that we are given equal opportunities as persons of rights and dignity to contribute to the development of Nigeria. So we look forward in the nearest future to have a person with disability as the Director General of the NTA, so that we will also say that NTA is inclusive.
NTA is very inclusive. NTA is very inclusive.
Yes, because we have a staff.
Yes.
Someone who has a disability that works with us.
And when you were coming in, there was access. All right.
Yes, I surrender. I know them personally, yes.
Oh, amazing.
Thank you so much, Mr. James David Lalu. Thank you so much for your time. You're doing a good job, and we must commend your efforts. Keep up the good work, and may God continue to strengthen you to do more. Thank you. Panelist Gufan Shaji Ngwayin. Thank you so much, Gufan, for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I want to thank our sign language interpreter, Timothy Tinat. Thank you so much for helping us. I didn't learn anything.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I learned thank you. All right, so we've been discussing promoting inclusion for persons with disability. Let's unite, to take action and integrate persons with disabilities in every sector. And that's Platform. I'm Ruth Aguwele. Bye.